You've been lied to about the stock market. Not by conspiracy, not by some villain in a suit, but by a story that's been repeated so many times it feels like truth. The stock market is a casino. It's gambling for rich people. You'll lose everything. And I get it. When you see numbers flashing on screens, when you hear about people losing their savings, when the news screams about crashes and volatility, it feels like a game of chance. But here's what they don't tell you. The stock market isn't a casino. It's a time machine. And in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you how this time machine works, why it was invented, and most importantly, how you can use it to stop being a passenger in your financial life and become an owner of the future. Let's go back to the 1600s, not for a history lesson, but because this is where humanity invented something revolutionary, and most people have no idea it even happened. Imagine you're a merchant in Amsterdam. You have an opportunity. Send a ship to the Americas, bring back spices and goods, and make a fortune. But here's the problem. That ship costs more than you'll earn in a lifetime, and even if you could afford it, one storm, one pirate attack, one miscalculation, and you're financially destroyed. Your family loses everything. So what do? Here's what those merchants figured out, and it changed human civilization forever. What if 100 people each owned 1% of the ship? If the voyage succeeds, everyone shares the profit. If it fails, no single person is ruined. See, this wasn't gambling. This was collective ambition. This was humanity saying there are things too big, too expensive, too risky for one person to do alone, but together we can fund the future. That idea, that simple, powerful idea, became the stock market. See, the stock market wasn't invented for Wall Street traders. It was invented to solve a massive human problem. How do we build things that are bigger than any one of us? How do we cure diseases? How do we send humans to space? How do we create technologies that don't exist yet? The answer, we pool our resources. We become co-owners of tomorrow. The stock market is humanity's most powerful mechanism for doing together what we could never do alone. So why do I call it a time machine? Because when you buy a stock, you're not buying today. You're buying a piece of 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Let me show you what I mean. Think about Amazon in the late 1990s. They were selling books online and losing money. The smart people said, "This'll never work. Why would anyone buy books on a computer?" But some investors looked at Amazon and saw something different. They didn't see a struggling bookstore. They saw the infrastructure of the entire digital economy. They were buying expectations of the future, not current profits. Tesla lost money for 10 consecutive years, a decade. Yet people invested billions because they weren't buying a car company. They were buying the electrification of transportation, the disruption of energy, the future of sustainable technology. Uber lost money for years, but investors saw the death of car ownership, the digitization of transportation, the restructuring of urban mobility. Here's what you need to understand. Stock prices aren't just math. They're a living, breathing marketplace of expectations. They reflect how humanity feels about what's coming next. When you invest, you're saying, "I believe the world will be different in the future, and I want to own a piece of that transformation." You're not gambling. You're not spinning a roulette wheel. You're taking a seat in a time machine, and you're buying into the world that doesn't exist yet, but will. Now, here's where most people get stuck. They say, "I'll wait until things are more certain. I'll invest when I know it's safe." And that sounds responsible, doesn't it? That sounds smart. But in compounding systems like the stock market, waiting for certainty is one of the most expensive habits you can have. Let me explain what I call the certainty trap. When a path is unclear, when the future is uncertain, when nobody knows if this technology will work or this company will succeed, that's when prices are low. That's when there's an opportunity gap.
the gap between what something costs today and what it could be worth tomorrow. But most people wait. They wait for proof. They wait for confirmation. They wait for everyone to agree it's a good idea. And by the time that happens, by the time the path feels safe and obvious, the price has already moved. The financial advantage has been extracted. You're not early, you're late, and often you're locked out entirely. In 2015, Tesla was chaotic. People called Elon Musk a con artist. The company was bleeding cash. The stock was under $50. By 2021, Tesla had proven itself. Electric vehicles were clearly the future. The stock hit $900. The people who bought in 2015 made 18 times their money. The people who waited for certainty made nothing or paid top dollar for what early investors got on discount. This isn't about being reckless. This isn't about throwing money at every crazy idea. It's about understanding a fundamental truth. In the time machine, you pay a premium for certainty. If you only move when things feel safe, you're not investing. You're just buying what everyone else already validated at a price that reflects that validation. The real question isn't, is this certain? The real question is, do I believe in the direction this is heading, and am I willing to own a piece of that journey, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed yet? Now, here's something wild to think about. Almost everything you use today, your smartphone, your car, the apps you scroll on, the food you eat, the medicine you take, wouldn't exist without millions of investors funding those ideas when they were just possibilities. You use these things every day. You depend on them. You pay for them. But do you own any of them? Most people go through life in consumer mode. They earn a paycheck, they spend it, and the cycle repeats. Income is linear. It resets every month. You trade time for money, and when you stop trading time, the money stops. But ownership is uncapped. It compounds. It grows while you sleep. It doesn't require you to be present. The people who built wealth didn't just work harder. They shifted their identity. They stopped seeing themselves as consumers who rent their lives from the future someone else built. They started seeing themselves as owners who fund the future and share in the upside. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need to be rich to make this shift. You just need to operate on a surplus. To use the time machine, you need fuel. That fuel is called surplus. Surplus is earning more than you spend. And I know what you're thinking. I don't have extra money. But here's the strategy that changes everything. The 12-month rule. When your income increases, whether it's a raise, a bonus, a side hustle paying off, keep your lifestyle exactly the same for 12 months. Don't inflate your rent. Don't upgrade your car. Don't add new subscriptions. That gap between your old lifestyle and your new income, that's your time machine fuel. That's what you deploy into ownership. That's what you invest into the future. Because here's the truth, being broke is a temporary state, but thinking like someone who's broke, someone who only consumes, who never invests, who waits for permission, that's a permanent trap. The stock market isn't a casino. It's not a scam. It's not for other people. It's a time machine that humanity built to fund what doesn't exist yet. And every single day, you get to choose. Will you be a consumer, renting your life from the future someone else built? Or will you be an owner, funding the future you want to live in? The time machine is running. The question is, are you on it?